by next year we can. Oh, Debbie, thank you for recording. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get started. Everybody. So if one of my co-hosts could kindly manage the admissions, that would be fantastic. So welcome to the Building Your Business session for the Defining Your Second Career event. My name's Joanna Sadie and I head up the business team here at Work Avenue. And obviously running a business is one way of earning a living. Just a brief potted history of me. I started my career back working for the Independent newspaper many years ago, when it still was a newspaper, before the advent of social media and Google and everything. So I started my life there, managed teams there, and then I decided that I wanted to take that corporate experience and bring it into kind of the small business world, really. Because when you're running a small business, you don't have the luxury of having lots of people do things for you. So you don't have the luxury of people being able to do the marketing for you, the accounts for you. You have to wear all of those different hats, which can be a real challenge. So I set up my own sales training and business development consultancy business nearly 20 years ago now, and kind of brought that experience to many, many small businesses. And then 2 years ago, decided to put that a little bit on the back burner, my business Leapfrog on the back burner, and come and work for Work Avenue and bring those skills that I'd brought into Work Avenue, which is an absolute delight. And I kind of love every day of being able to work with many people who I've seen before here. And obviously the offer is there to please sign up and email, and I'm sure maybe Debbie will put in the chat or Mel will put in the chat whether, if somebody wants a one-to-one business advice appointment with either myself or my colleague Kim, then we're very happy to do that. So I'm going to just share my screen now, and so you can see what we're going to focus on today. So basically, we're going to do a whistle-stop tour through getting started for a business. So that will be building the foundations, really looking at kind of what you have to do to set up. We are going to think about the brand, also mindset, which is important when you're setting up a business, identifying who your ideal client is, and then building a pipeline. But as I said, please, obviously this is going to be very general. So if you want specific help for your business, please do email us and we can get an appointment for you to come and meet with either myself or Kim. So just before we kind of get started, in the chat, please could we write down who has a business? And if you do have a business now, if you do have a business now, I've got the chat open here. If you do have a business, what is that business? Or if you've just got an idea, put down just an idea. And if you want to tell us what the idea is, that would be really, really fabulous. So just want to get a brief idea of where everybody is. Ideas, beginning as a professional organizer. Thank you, Annie. Kaylee, just an idea. Judith Devon's teaching. Or action takers. Okay, we've got something. We've got a project management and business change consultancy. Fabulous. Travel business owner. We've got a good mix of things. Educational consultant. So yes, consultant is a very, very good idea. If you have a lot of experience from the corporate sector and being able to bring that in, and then you're now looking to do something yourself, being able to take that experience and use it as your own business is also very very good. So, okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, so the first step, take the time to write down that idea. Or if you have more than one idea, take the time to write more than one idea down. Just verbalize it on writing it down to yourself. How does it sound? What are you saying? So that you've actually kind of got that in place. Another big question to ask yourself, and I think this is one of the most important things, is does the business solve a problem or serve a customer need? Now, if I think about the 2 years that over 2 years that I've been doing this job, I probably say I could count on one hand the number of ideas that are possibly in quotes unique, i.e. that I hadn't really heard of before. So most people are coming to a business with an idea that other people are doing. That's fine, but you must try to understand whether it is solving a problem or it serves some kind of need. So if so really think about what that problem is, because you need to put yourself in the customer's shoes and think, how am I helping that person? So if I think about my own business as a kind of sales training, business development consultancy, what I can bring to people is helping them to increase the revenue that they're making. Think of different business development strategies for them to be able to help them find new clients. So a business obviously has a issue with finding new clients, and my business can help solve that. So does everybody understand? A few nods, a few thumbs up, people understand why it's solving that problem. So the other thing to think about is, how many hours do you want to work? What's the lifestyle? Is it a lifestyle business? Do you want to try and, or is this a business that you're really trying to think about earning a full-time income? Because as we've had discussions this morning, it might be that your business idea could go alongside a part-time job. So if you can find something that's kind of 2 or 3 days a week, and then you're trying to do this business on the other 2 days. So have a think about how many hours you want to work, and what style of business it is for that. Please, by the way, just as a thing, if there's any questions on particular slides, then please write them in the chat, and Mel will then interrupt me because I'm not going to be looking at the chat. So Mel's going to take care of the chat. So if there's any questions on a particular slide, otherwise I will obviously take questions at the end. Okay, so highly, highly important. As I said, Work Avenue is all about earning a living, and therefore ensuring that your idea is financially viable is absolutely vital. So start to think, first of all, how much do you need to earn a year to keep, to either pay towards the cost or to help pay the bills, pay the mortgage? How much do you need to earn? And actually what I always say, if you're doing this, is to think about, first of all, what are the costs involved to start up? So some businesses, if you're thinking of starting a consultancy, in a way, that's a low cost business, which is a good. If you're thinking of starting up a shop or you're starting a cafe, then clearly that is a high cost startup. So where is that money going to come from? Have you got any money that you can use to invest, or where will that money come from? So the other big thing is saying is, turnover is vanity and profit is sanity. So if we think about these 2 points, how many times do you need to make a sale to recover your costs? So if you think about a kind of funnel, and you are, you've got some costs of the business, take those costs away and then think about how many of those products you need to sell, how many days do you need to work in order to make a profit, to cover those costs and to start earning the money. So if you're, for example, I often say, do a funnel where if you want to earn, let's say, £50,000 or £30,000, £20,000, whatever you want to earn, put that at the top of the funnel as an annual figure. I always say for people who are self-employed or running their own business, divide that figure by 10, because the moment you go on holiday or you take some time off, then you're probably not earning your money. So divide that, let's say £50,000 by 10. So 10 months, that means you're looking to try and make £5,000 a month. So how many sales, how many days work do you need at the cost at the price that you're charging? Do you need to make that £5,000 a month or £2,000 a month or £3,000, whatever you need to do? And how much of that is going to be profit? So then you can work out how long it might take you to make some money and earn a salary from the business. Have we got any questions, Mel, on the financial viability? Because it's really key, this.
We have a couple of questions.
Okay.
One from Doa. I'm sorry if I haven't pronounced your name correctly. What if you have many ideas and don't know where to start from?
Right. So what I would do is write all of those ideas, and then actually what the exercise that I would do that I'd be very happy to help with is to see which of them are more financially viable, because obviously which ones solve a problem and which ones are financially viable. So try to do that exercise of how much I want to earn, because for example, if you're a cake maker and you want to earn £5,000 a month, that is a lot of cakes you have to make and a lot of profit you have to make in order to earn a living. So I hope that answers that question.
And Alex asks, isn't it true that no business makes money within the first 1 to 2 years and then starts making money afterwards?
So that is a very good point. I mean, as David Kaplan said this morning, it took him a long time to find his first client when he started up his consultancy business. So if you're hoping to be all of a sudden start the business and make £5,000 a month, I think that's not a realistic goal. However, you might have been thinking of setting up a client, you might have been networking a business, you might have been starting to network, and you might already have some work. So, you can't say that you're not going to earn any money from the business, especially if it's a consultancy business, because you might have some work already set up before you start it. Any more questions, Mel, on that, or can I move forward?
Not at the moment.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so the next thing to think about is, what's your business structure going to be look like? So there's 4 options. Sole trader and limited company are the most normal, or the most used business structures, but you can also set yourself up as a partnership if you're running the business with somebody else, or a limited liability partnership if there's more than 2 of you. But as I say, sole trader, limited company are the most normal options. There's advantages and disadvantages for both. Again, very happy to talk those through with you. I don't think it's really relevant to do that now, but very happy to talk about which is a better option for you in a one-to-one meeting. And then to also register yourself as self-employed. So the taxman also needs to know whether you're self-employed, and so the moment you start even earning over £1,000, you need to be registered as self-employed. So that is absolutely key. Okay, so the other thing to get started is opening a bank account. So this is highly recommended. It's first of all a perfect way to keep your records. It also just know how much money is coming in and how much money is going out, and it keeps it totally separate from any personal bank account or a joint account that you might have with your partner. I'd really, really advise you to think about opening a business bank account, and there are loads out there. You don't have to just go with the high street. There are some very good online kind of ones that you can use on your phone, and you can invoice. So Starling, Tide, for example, to name just two are very reasonable, and you can invoice from those bank accounts as well. So it's a really good way to kind of keep your records. It looks professional from a client benefit, and it enables good cash management. So highly recommend to open up a business bank account. So develop a brand. But the first thing, obviously, is you possibly need a name for your business. So it's worth spending time on choosing the best name for your business. Now, some people choose their own name if they're maybe a coach. Our own very own Melanie Pearl has got MP Consulting. So you can choose your name. Obviously, a disadvantage of choosing your name is that it doesn't do what it says on the tin. So if you wanted to have, you know, Melanie Pearl could be any type of consultant. Sorry to pick on you, Mel. You know, it could be MP HR Consulting, for example, as a way of at least identifying what service you're offering if you are going to use your own name. Otherwise, if you want to choose a name that represents what service you're offering, you might want to consider that. In terms of branding, I'm just going to give you a quick example of two very big brands that probably most of you might have heard of, that have completely different brand identities. Because when you're thinking about a brand, you need to think about, first of all, the colors, the fonts, the images, the graphics that you're using. That's the visual element of it. And the other element of a brand is the tone of voice, the messages that you're saying. So let me give you those two examples. Haagen-Dazs premium ice cream and Ben & Jerry's premium ice cream. So have we got any kind of nods or thumbs up that people know those two brands of ice cream? And yes, a few thumbs up. Thank you, everybody. And a few nods. And they're very, very different in terms of how they position themselves. I think their prices are fairly similar. Let's say $4.99 for a tub of ice cream, or, you know, it can be on offer. But Haagen-Dazs comes across as maybe quite sophisticated, a bit smart, nothing, it's all very kind of, yeah, you know, very kind of plain colors, whereas Ben & Jerry's, totally different brand and tone, and funny and quirky and busy on the tubs of ice cream, you know, lots of different names for their ice cream, cookie dough, fish food, you know, you wouldn't know what that is. So very, very different. So you have to decide how you're going to come across. And that isn't, as I said, just about the name of the business. It's also about the colors that you're using, the images that you're using, and the voice and the tone of voice. So that would be definitely something to consider. Any questions on that one, Mel? Because it is quite a, no, anybody?
Oh, one's just come through.
Oh, very good. Okay.
From Fernanda. I have tried to trademark my brand, but it was refused because the logo resembled a flag. They said I could have a logo, but visually it could not explain what the brand was about, but still had to be memorable. I got too confused and gave up. So any advice there, Jo?
Okay, so sorry to hear that, Fernanda. I mean, I think it would probably be best to have a one-to-one discussion with you on that. I think a flag is probably too, because I remember you do a kind of dual citizenship. So, you know, there might be other ways that you could bring the colors into creating a brand with, I think it's South America or Brazil that, anyway, you're helping somebody. So maybe bring the colors in without using a flag. But I'm happy to discuss that. Okay, so moving on from a brand. So some of you might breathe a sigh of kind of, oh gosh, really, do I need to get online? I'm afraid the answer is yes. 99% of businesses now, you really do need to be online in some form for your business. If you think about your website, you know, if you're a shop, you've got a physical presence. A website is your shop window. It is your brochure and it helps people to feel a bit of trust in you, in what you're doing. You can put testimonials on and case studies on your website. You can talk to people about the different services that you're offering. They can get in contact with you on your website, and on any marketing that you do, you can direct people to your website. So, you know, anything that you're doing on social media, you can direct people to the website to find out more. So yesterday, I was dealing with a business that didn't definitely need a website straight away, but I think moving forward, once she had got her idea a bit up and running, I would then say a website would be a good way to go. If you don't have a website, then please make sure that you have a good Instagram page or a good Facebook page, or at the very, very least, a good LinkedIn profile. So at least people know what you do via one of those social media platforms. So, which is also online. So again, you know, hard to not be online in any format. Obviously, the moment you have a website, you can also have an email address that's not just, let's say, your personal email address, but could be representative of your, so my one for my business was Joanna at Leapfrog Company. It just looks more professional than having a Gmail or BT email address. There's obviously lots of also online sales platforms. So let's say you don't want to have a website, but you want to sell on Amazon or eBay, for example, or Etsy. You don't necessarily need to have your own website. You could use one of those online sales platforms to help you. And a Google My Business account is a very, very good way of getting Google reviews. So if somebody puts in plumber near me or personal trainer near me, then you can have a very good, and Google My Business is a free service, I know, free of charge service that Google offer, and you come up on the map, and you know, and it's a way of, again, getting people to go to your website and give your just general details, phone number, website, opening hours, etc. So I'd highly recommend. In fact, Google have come and done a session for us at Work Avenue at our Startup Business Central, and they highly recommend having a Google My Business account. Again, happy to talk to you about that on a one-to-one session. So yes, the word on the street is you do have to get online, really.
Jo?
Yes?
Sorry. I found out something when I was working with a client the other week for people who are possibly a little bit shy about embracing some of the online platforms. But if you've got a WhatsApp business account, you can put a catalogue on there. And that seems to be slightly less worrying for some people to do. So if you've got a business account, you can put a catalogue and showcase what you're selling on your WhatsApp business account as well. Thanks,
Debbie. I mean, I think, you know, there is, I know people are reticent about it. One of our speakers at a seminar that we had a couple of weeks ago did say, get over it, but that's being a bit harsh. But please talk to me about it. And all I can say is there's a very famous saying about today's news is tomorrow's fish and chip shop paper. Well, in the same world as with social media, you know, your algorithm keeps working. So once you post, then a couple of hours down the line, you've gone down that algorithm and somebody else is coming up. So you're not going to be on there forever. Okay, so research, testing. Please, if you've got an idea, do some research, talk to people, talk to your potential customers, look at what your competitors are doing, you know, and see what they're offering and then how your offering would be different. Ask people if you're on LinkedIn, talk to people, reach out to people, do that through networking. Because if you haven't tested the field, then you're never going to know whether you've got a business that's viable or not. So, you know, use your own network to ask questions of pricing, for example. So if you've got a business that's selling products, talk to people. How much would you pay what would you like to see on my website? You know, talk to people about all of that. Really, really important from that, on that respect. So don't forget the research. Okay, so the advantage of, there's loads and loads of advantages of running your own business, but I'm not going to say it's easy. Okay, it does require a certain resilience, motivation, tenacity. It is hard work. You know, as somebody who I've been working with I think she was employed for kind of over 25 years. You know, she turned up, she did her work. She's now looking at setting up a consultancy, you know, and she said it was great. You kind of got given work, you did it in the time that you got a paycheck at the end of the month. Great. On the other hand, running your own business really requires you to, first of all, as I said at the beginning, put on lots of different hats. So you might be very good at the doing, but you might not be good at the admin or the marketing or invoicing clients. So you do have to consider the fact that you, as a small business owner, you're going to have to wear a lot of different hats in order to make that business successful, which is what I mean by working on the business and not just in the business. So if you have got 5 days a week where you're trying to deliver projects as a consultant, some of that time in the week has to be put aside for trying to find new clients, because the clients won't last forever. So business development and marketing is one of the most important parts of working on the business and not just in the business. There needs to be time for some planning, for some thinking, and then some time for doing. I really wish that I could just give everybody a magic wand to wave and customers come piling in, and you know, it all makes it very easy. But unfortunately, we're in the real world, and those wands aren't out there, unfortunately. So I think what you need to do in terms of working out your week is thinking, what percentage of my week am I going to be working on the business in terms of doing some of the admin, or what percentage of my day? You know, think about your day, your week, your month, and plan and put some time in your diary to work on the business, not just in the business. Is there any questions on that, Mel? Has anybody? No, fine. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, so the other thing that I would say is really important when you're setting up a business is to have very, very clearly who in your mind is your ideal prospective customer. Now, most people are either selling a business to consumer, they're selling to the general public, or some of you might be doing a business to business sell. Whichever route you're taking, you have to know who your prospective customer is. Think about them, create them in your mind. You might have a few tribes if it's business to business, or a few tribes if it's business to consumer, but create that visual identity of what that person looks like. What do they, if it's a consumer, what do they, you know, where do they live? What kind of income? What are their interests? What's their gender? What's their lifestyle? You know, where do they shop? What do they do? Really try to develop who that person is. If it's a business or different sectors, you can think about the sectors of you know, industry sectors that you might be trying to sell to. You could think about the size of that business. You could think about how much revenue that business, what it looks like, what their business model is. So if I use myself as an example, my business Leapfrog, I was focusing on businesses that had a sales team, so maybe 10 plus salespeople. I was probably trying to find businesses that might have been marketing or media related, because that was where my background came from. I was also trying to find businesses that had a flat management structure, because if those businesses didn't have a lot of layers of management, then they probably needed help from an outside consultant or somebody that could help them manage that team, help that sales team improve the revenue. So that was kind of my, my ideal. I felt I have the skills, for example, to be able to deliver training, let's say for a FTSE 100 company like HSBC, but my business didn't have the infrastructure to be able to work for an organization like HSBC. So I was completely ignoring those big names, and I was going for companies that maybe nobody would have really heard from. But in terms of marketing and selling yourself, you cannot really do that effectively without having in mind who your prospective customer is, because any messaging that you're putting out there, anything you're saying on social media, the wording that you're putting on your website has to resonate with that ideal customer. Can I have some kind of nods, some thumbs up as to whether that you're getting what I'm saying on that? Good, I'm seeing some nods. Any questions on?
A question. We have one question from Alex. Last night I had we might need Alex to unmute so that we can understand fully. Last night I had my Facebook account when setting up my Facebook business page. I had my Facebook account open when setting up my Facebook business page. What do you suggest for going forward and setting up the virtual shop window in the event the Facebook account can't be got back into?
Yes, sorry. It got blocked last night, activated.
Okay, so can you go on to, I don't know what your product is, Alex. Can you do something on Instagram at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on social media platforms and just setting up the business, but it doesn't give me a great image that Facebook can just stop me from setting up a business page. When
what
I
are
thought
you selling, Alex?
Sorry?
What are you selling?
Consultancy services for people looking to move into the UK for work. Okay,
so I would actually say that LinkedIn then would be a really good.
Absolutely, unquestionably LinkedIn, but Facebook is a very big platform for people looking for work from overseas.
So you might want to try and find out kind of what from Facebook, why you've been.
Yeah, I mean that they haven't got any contact information, so it's been a bit of a struggle actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry I can't help you with that, especially now. Exactly. I mean, maybe we can try and look into it for you, but I would say to set up a one-to-one to do that. And I think for the short term, before you can get that resolved, is make the most of the other platforms that are available, sure. LinkedIn, yep. and then consider having a website that you could direct people to.
Yeah.
Any other questions on target audience, Mel, or are we
all listening intently, I think?
Okay, very good. Lovely. Okay, so the next thing is actually building that pipeline. As I say, finding customers is the key. So what I mean by this funnel, customers are, that's fairly obvious what a customer is. What a prospect is somebody that, if you're on a business to business, you're either having a meeting, you've met them, you'll send a proposal, that you're talking to them about a possible project. That's what a prospect is. Okay, if you're selling to consumers, a prospect might be they've come into your shop and they're just looking around, or they're on your website and they've put stuff into their basket, or they're on a landing page and they're looking at you. That's what a prospect is if it's business to consumer. And the leads are who are your potential clients. Now, the only problem with this funnel, as I say to many people, I'm really sorry to say, but it's really leaky, this funnel, okay? Things are coming out of it all the time. And what you have to try and do as best possible is to turn as many of those prospective clients into prospects and as many prospects as you can into customers. And obviously I'm going to be able to try to help you do that. But all I can say is you'll never get everybody in your target audience to become a prospect, and not all of your prospects will become customers. So it's about trying to put as many channels of activity into the top of the funnel. So what kind of activities can you do? Clearly there's marketing. I mean, we could spend a whole session just by ourselves, a whole hour just on marketing. I mean, you can spend days on thinking about what marketing is going to be effective for you. Obviously there's social media. You can do email campaigns, you could attend events, you could do webinars, you could try to use PR, using digital channels. So this is digital search, Google digital search. This is pay-per-click. So when you search on Google and you see the word ad next to the company, they've paid to be at the top of the page. I mean, there are thousands of different channels of activity, but I think one of the key things to do is to make sure that you are utilizing online opportunities, and that will include LinkedIn if you're doing business to business. I think a good theme across the morning, which started from David Kaplan, and I was on Mel's session, and I know that she focused on this in her transferable skills session. Networking is a highly, highly effective channel to grow your business. And what I mean by networking is either, there's two ways of networking, either using your own contacts and trying to expand your network by using your own contacts and second connections. And the other way is to attend networking groups, networking events. For example, the Federation of Small Business are running free networking events. I was on one a couple of weeks ago just to try the online networking. You could go to an online networking event in Scotland, in Cornwall, wherever you want. So, you know, there is loads of online networking sessions where you might, groups where you could sign up and possibly find contacts that way. And at Work Avenue, we run a session on networking to grow your business, a whole workshop on how to do that effectively. Another channel of activity is to think about creating partnerships. So if you are a website designer, for example, who could you create partnerships with, maybe for some cross referrals? So you could create partnerships with people that do search engine optimization. You could create partnerships with people that are web designers, so that, you know, if you're a graphic designer, you might need a web designer, and therefore there can be some cross referral there. Obviously, there's the direct sales. You know, there's direct sales. That is hard work, but you can definitely approach people on LinkedIn and then try to arrange meetings. You could do cold calling, cold emailing. There's an art to it, but there's definitely a way of doing it, especially if you've got a very focused target audience. You could reach out to companies directly to try to do direct sales. The next one is presence on other platforms. So what I mean by that is, as I said, if you're selling a product, or you've got a product, you could be on Amazon, Etsy, not on the high street, eBay. Those are platforms that you could use to sell your product. If you're a consultant or a personal trainer or a plumber or a graphic designer, there are platforms, for example, called Bark or Bidvine, which you do have to pay, so you do need money. But one of my clients recently, who's started, she's had a whole career in project management. Her passion was then nutrition and helping people to improve their diet. She took a whole nutrition course. She's now a nutritionist, and she found some clients using Bark. So if I were to put in to Google, you know, nutritionist near me, then Bark comes up as a means of generating leads. I'm not saying, some people swear by it, some people say it's very expensive, then they're not getting good leads on it, but there is an opportunity to generate leads through the platform Bark. And then if you've got an existing business and you want to find more clients, please don't ignore your existing clients. Anybody heard of Pareto's law, where as 80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients? So there are many strategies that you can put in place to generate more money from people that are already using you. So that's another way of thinking about things. Mel, do we have any questions on any of this?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Wow. So
please, all very clear.
Taking it all in. That's great. Because actually I am kind of coming to the end. So now, you know, as I said, we are here to help you. And in fact, as business advisors, we encourage you, you don't just get 1 hour of time. We encourage you to come back and see us every kind of 4 to 6 weeks. So then if you've got the start of a business idea and you want to kind of start developing, come and have a meeting with us, and then you can take that forward. We've got business skills workshops happening. So this month, in fact, tomorrow, we still have space if anybody wants to think about pricing and negotiation. So that's a workshop that I'm going to be running tomorrow morning from 9:30. So if you want to sign up, please go to our website. And then on Monday, the 23rd of November, I'm running a Sales for Startups workshop. So again, please have a think. If you feel you need to improve your sales skills, then that's another workshop that we're running. And then we also have webinars and events. In fact, December the 10th, we're going to be running a networking workshop. So, you know, where people can meet like-minded business owners, and we're going to hear from somebody on how to kind of perfect your elevator pitch. So lots and lots going on.
Jo, a question here.
Oh, hurrah. I'm going to...
You spoke about making your brand very specific. But then someone's saying, if you make it specific at the outset, how does that allow for growth in the future?
Okay, good. A really good question. Obviously, let's say you want to sell, I don't know, wheelbarrows. You want to sell garden equipment, but the first product that you have is wheelbarrows, or you're doing specific, let's say, compliance consultancy, or some form of, if I just wanted to do negotiation consultancy, for example, I probably wouldn't call my business Sadie negotiation consultancy, because that does limit you. So you might want to think about trying to have a name that's a bit broader. So, you know, rather than just Wheelbarrow Inc., you might want to think about, I'll use a highly relevant topic. You might want to say Four Seasons Total Landscaping, if anybody gets that joke from from what happened with the Trump campaign. You'll understand that Four Seasons Total Landscaping gives you a bit of a wider method to be able to sell lots of different products rather than just one product. I hope that answers the question.
A point from Judith. Just looked at something Debbie Sheldon said a while back, that 80% of jobs that will exist in 10 years' time don't exist yet.
Yeah, perfectly true, Judith. And, you know, so yesterday, for example, I was working with somebody who has setting up an agency for Facebook to run Facebook ads. So totally, you know, that would never have been something 10 years ago. And now we've got a business that's selling or trying to help people with their Facebook ads. The same with a pay-per-click. You know, all of those things. Somebody says here, drone pilots and operators. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought that there might have been something to do with drones 10 years ago? So that's a really good point, Judith. Thank you.
Jo, just maybe on that point, our employment team looked into which sectors would be, you know, growth sectors at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if
So
anyone's interested in that response.
Yeah, I mean, also growth sectors, you know, definitely think about tech, think about online.
Cybersecurity came up very, very high.
Yeah.
With that, I think Emma mentioned in her presentation, teachers.
Yeah.
A lot of people are looking, so any sort of consultancy with teaching would work well. A lot of finance, Mel, I think you can say that we're recruiting a lot of finance. There's a lot of vacancies for bookkeeper and finance professionals. So if anyone wants to look into the consultancy,
people, accountancy,
that would be good. And obviously, like you're saying, the web, the graphic designs, the sales, the SEO, that sort of thing as well.
IT support for businesses, you know, because people need websites. We've had I can just see, how can you figure out what will make you stand out in a business you're entering? Really, really good question. Thank you. I mean, I think that's about being very clear about who your target audience is, because you only need to be clear to the people you're trying to target. So it could be from a branding point of view that you try to be clear. I mean, I think I gave you the examples of Haagen-Dazs and Ben & Jerry's. I mean, I have to say Ben & Jerry's definitely stands out on the shelf, doesn't it? If you go onto the freezer section, you know, because they're so quirky and cartoon-like, their ice cream does stand out. So just think about, from a branding point of view, what will make me stand out. And then the other big thing is do you have a unique selling point? Really, how am I helping people, and who can I help? Because, as I said, barely anybody has got a totally unique business, and there's room for loads of bookkeepers, for example. So, you know, you don't have to be so unique as a bookkeeper. You just have to be very clear about who you're trying to target, and do a lot of business development if you're a bookkeeper, for example. And what's the tone of voice that you want to? How are you helping compared to other people? What are the benefits that you offer a business, and market those benefits? So don't just say what you do, say how you're going to help.
Sorry, Jo, if we've got time just for one more.
Yeah.
Saying no businesses are particularly unique. When people are testing the market and doing their research, how worried do they need to be about giving away their next best amazing business?
Yeah, I often hear that, funny enough. I just think obviously, if you've got something that could be trademarked or copyright, then you do need to go down that. If it's such a unique idea, then you do need to look at that trademark or get that business protected. But otherwise, you have to have confidence in your ability to be able to service a particular need or a problem, and not worry. You know, it's like exactly the same as a bookkeeper. If everybody was worried about that, then you'd have no other new bookkeepers. So, you know, I think people can get over worried about it. I would say copycats are a good sense. What's the saying? Something about flattery. Thank you. Yes. So you need to be out there marketing yourself, having a good brand, being very clear about what you stand for, and just go for it. Because otherwise you can tie yourself into knots about worrying, well, if I promote it, then what if somebody copies it? But then you're not doing your own business. So I would just go for it.
Okay. And there's one question coming, which I think we'll probably make our last one, because we've got the Q&A starting shortly. Yeah. How can you figure out what will make you stand out? It says here in the business you're entering. I'm guessing maybe in the sector you're entering. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying about the brand, just being very clear about who you are, your tone of voice, what you're saying about yourself, how you stand out, what the benefits, how you help somebody. Or if it's a product, if you've got a consumer product, you know, is there enough need for it? So for example, during COVID, you know, during lockdown, or at the end of lockdown, I started to see a few businesses that were like, oh, I want to do a hand sanitizer, I want to do masks, which if they had done that right at the beginning, might have been a good session, a good business, but now, I mean, there's masks aplenty, there's hand sanitizer aplenty, and I'm not sure that only focusing on those two things is not really viable.
Okay, I mean, there are the questions, but I think what we'll do is we'll head over, if you all want to head over to the final link, which is the open forum for the Q&A session. You've got that link in your in your schedule, and we will see you there for the closing session shortly. Thanks a lot, Jo.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.